Alright guys, so welcome to the video on how to remove valve springs as well as valve seals This is a Mini Cooper R50. Anyway, from R50 to R53 uses the same cylinder head as this. So as you guys can see, I've already done most of the work by removing. So this when I did this, I used a different method than what I'm about to show you. Honestly, the method I'm about to show you is a bit easier than the one I had before. So let's get started. So I will, as well as close to the end of the video, I will show you an easier method on how to remove these springs itself, because I don't recommend you guys start banging onto the seals or the springs itself. Now, I've seen videos of people start banging onto the valve springs, and I don't recommend you guys do that. If you do not know what you're doing, I suggest you use the way I'm about to show you now, and then I will show you another easier step close to the end of this video where you'll be able to remove the springs without the tool I'm about to show you, right? So first off, you are going to need a G-clamp. I don't know if you guys can see this, a G6 G-clamp. So this one works the best for me. Then if you guys can see exactly, so this is a G6 G-clamp. So this is the tool I'm using to take off the valve springs itself. And then I also went ahead and made me a special tool. This is just a tool that comes from so this is the tool I'm talking about. So this tool was made out of a, what do you call this, a spark plug. This is basically just a spark plug tool that I cut into a special tool that I'll need for the valve seals itself. So I don't know if you guys can see very clearly what I'm about to do. Okay, let me just remove this one. Alright guys, so of everything that I've tried to do, taking off the valve springs, this would be the easiest method. And if you guys do not have a G6 G-clamp, like I will show you an easier method. I don't know if you guys can see it. I will show you an easier method close to the end of this video where you can remove the valve springs also as well. So alright guys, so also you're going to need a cloth because you do not want to make any scrapes, or you don't want to bruise the head, the cylinder head itself. So alright guys, so let's get started. So what you want to do is you want to turn the head to the side of the valve springs you're going to remove, right? So once you have your cloth, so I'll just be tearing a piece of the cloth. Alright guys, so just do a piece of the cloth just so I can cover. I'll show you now which one I'm talking about. Alright, so the piece of cloth that I just broke off goes onto this part of the G-clamp, and then let me just take this off for you guys. So this goes on there onto the how do you call this again, the valves itself. So I'll be busy with this one here. I'll be doing this one now, so let me just show you where I'm going to place it. So since I'll be doing this one, I'm going to place it below here at valves number 3 from the first cylinder. So I'm going to put it there, just below there, onto this valve itself, and then I'll use the special tool that I've made. I'll use the special tool that I've made to press onto the valve spring. Right, so special tool, 6 G clamp, and then onto the third valve from the first cylinder, right? So this tool just goes at the bottom there, so I can lock it in, right? So onto the valves, and then this tool goes at the bottom of the G clamp itself, right? So that's all that's all you need to do for when using this method. And then you just want to make sure that it's nice and solid on there before you start turning, right? So as you can see right now, there's no movement in the G clamp, so it's holding everything nicely. It's locked on. The only reason why I say you should use a rag for the bottom of the G clamp is so you don't make any scrapes or any bruises onto the cylinder itself, right? So let's start by removing the spring. And so it goes on. So guys, so you might hear pop or click, but that doesn't mean anything. That just means that it has never been replaced before. There we go. So that's the pop or click I was talking about. And then you can go ahead and keep turning until okay, so I'll use this to remove the conduits, or I don't know what these things are called exactly. So I'll just put that in there so I can remove them. Right, so that's one out. And this is, so now I'll remove the second one. So that one basically just popped out from there. So now I'll loosen up the G clamp. Alright guys, so the positioning of the G clamp and the tool that I've just made is not very 100%, but most of the time it is 100% on the positioning. So that's about it for this part of, just place them out of the way. Alright guys, so that's the spring. That's the easiest way to remove them, and then putting them together is basically just the same thing. So let's remove two. And so putting them together is basically just the same thing. So I'll just put these ones together as well. Alright, so once again, G6 G clamp, and then spring goes on there. Spring goes on there. And then your rag or cloth goes onto the bottom of the G clamp. There we go, so G clamp, rag or cloth goes at the bottom there. And then your springs and your carnage goes back on. So positioning, G clamp on to the bottom of the valve. And once you've done that, make sure it's nice and tight on there. Alright guys, so mine's nice and tight, and just push it in a bit more. There we go. It's nice and tight on there. And now I'll just proceed to press. Alright, so first one goes on. Let me just wipe it off before I'll put them back. Okay, so I've wiped it off. This one goes on. Okay, so you might find putting them on a bit harder than taking them off, but that's okay. So once I've got it on there, I'll just release it a bit so we can have some pressure. Okay, so we can have some pressure. Okay, I'll have to do this a bit different. Alright guys, so like I said, you might find putting it back on a bit harder than taking it off. However, this is the easiest method for if you do not have any tools that can do this for you. So yeah, so like I said, putting it on will be a bit harder than taking them off. So here we go. Alright, so the first one is on, and I'll show you what it looks like after I have put both of them on. And then to test if it is on the correct spot, if it's on correctly, I'll show you guys what to do as well. So this one I'll use this to just grip it on the sides. I'll just grip it like so. It's on there. I'll just put it straight through. Let's see this. Alright guys, so both of them is on. Both of them is on there. I'll show it to you from the bottom, so that one's on as well. Top one's on. So now let me just make it tight. Like that, so that is it on how to remove a valve spring and valve seal using a G-clamp. And then I said I will show you an easier way to remove them close to the end of the video. So let me just show you the method I used to use. That's why all these bolts are on here, because before I found the G-clamp, I was actually using this method to untie the valve springs, right? So let me just find the bolt I was using and the tool I was using for it. Alright guys, so before I start or I show you guys this method, I'm gonna show you what you will need before doing this. So you're gonna wanna get a socket. It's about this size. Right, so it can be any socket that is this size, or can be a different one than this. Whichever socket works for you, you can use that one, right? So the reason why I've stopped using this method is because putting them back in this way I found nearly impossible, but taking them off was a lot easier than putting them back, right? So that's the reason why I stopped using this method and I just moved on to the G-clamp. So you're also gonna wanna get a screwdriver. With the point like so. The point's gonna need to be like that to grab onto the conrods or conrods. I don't really know what they call these things, little metal things that goes into the spring. And you're also gonna wanna get yourself some tape. Trust me, you're gonna need the tape. I've learned that the hard way. Or you're gonna need either a piece of rag or cloth once again. Okay, so sorry for the light, it just went off. Okay, so you're gonna need one of these as well. So this wraps around here. This wraps around the tape wraps around the socket itself. So you're gonna want to put the tape around the socket in this way. So the socket goes on like so, onto there, and then you're just gonna want to wrap it on there nice and thick. And you're going to want to keep the tape around because the socket will damage the tape in the long run after a few tries of these. So I'll just wrap some tape around here. It doesn't matter how you wrap the tape as long as it goes across like so, vertical. And then you just want to close it horizontally as well. So the tape has to go vertically across. That's the most important part of it, so I'm just wrapping it all around. Doesn't really matter if you do wrap it around. So my way is I'm wrapping it all around the socket. And then you're going to want to get yourself a 13 spanner. 13 or whichever size works for you. I don't know if you can see the 13. Here we go, 13 spanner. And the reason why there's tape on both sides of these is because of the same reason that it will damage the socket. It will also damage your tape. And so you're going to want to wrap the tape around here as well. Nice and thick. And the reason why I'm wrapping the tape around these things is because the grip from metal to metal is not very 100%, so it will shoot, so be careful for that. So the head's gonna want to be in this position like it is right now, and then you're gonna want to have all your bolts in. So this method only works on a Mini Cooper R50 head. I've never tried it on any other cylinder head before. So this method only works on a Mini Cooper R50 to R53 head. Alright, so let's go. This is the DIY method that I've done before. I'd used the G-clamp. So like I said guys, putting it back together is a lot harder than taking it apart. And so your 13 spanner wraps underneath your bolt like so, and then your socket is you're just gonna wanna place it just far enough away from the little metal things which you call the conduits or whatever. I'm gonna show you guys now on how to place it. And so you're gonna wanna place it like so, in a certain like an angle. You're gonna wanna place it because you wanna give enough space for these things to pop out when you press it down, right? So once you have that in place, you are going to want to get your screwdriver and then start pressing down, right? So